Hello and welcome to Intuitive Insights. I am your host, Megan McDonough, and today I have with me a very special guest. I have Ana Fink. She is a wellness architect and lifestyle designer, pioneering a new path in holistic health. As a creator of embodied wellness, she blends science and spirituality and personal growth into a transformative process and a transformative approach for body, mind, and soul. After leaving medical school to heal from a personal and family health challenges, embarked on a deep, unconventional study of wellness, naturally reversing hormonal, digestive, and reproductive issues. She coined the term preconception era to highlight the sacred space before motherhood, helping women reconnect with their bodies, reclaim their health, and step fully into their power and potential. Now, before I welcome Ana, I want to tell you guys I'm so excited because there's a few things we're going to talk about. One of which is being perimenopause, the zone that I'm living in. Screw everything up zone, but reorganize everything zone. She also is a radiant health, abundant wealth coach. Is that correct, Ana?
A wealth activator.
She's got the language. Wealth activator. And so we're going to talk a little bit about crypto, which I am intrigued about. I'm not sure where I sit on the fence with this yet. And Ana is passionate about human design. So that's also something that I have opinions, some knowledge, and lots of lack of knowledge around. So I'm excited to welcome you. Welcome, Ana. Thank you for coming on to Intuitive Insights and sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Thank you so much, Megan. It's such a joy and an honor to be here. Thank you for your time and thank you for allowing me to be part of your show.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to have you. So, okay, I'm going to kick off with my two questions that kind of lay the groundwork, but then I want to dig into some of these topics that we can talk about. So the first one being is, how would you define intuition? And let's start there.
Intuition is something that exists within you. It's like your compass, the golden compass within you, guiding you to your truest and highest alignment. It's in your body. It's a yes, it's a no feeling in your body, like interoception. It's your body's knowing, your body's wisdom.
I love that. And then how do you use it in your life? And more specifically, how did you use it to navigate your shift from the medical field into what you're doing now? And specifically, what medical field were you pursuing?
So that's a beautiful question. I received acceptance to medical school, and upon receiving an acceptance letter in particular, I felt it in my body. Instead of feeling the excitement and the elation and that lightness, I felt heavy. I felt dread. I felt no. My body was moving backwards. I was on this path of living my truth. And I discovered in that moment interoception, and I was getting into the spiritual context and watching, The Secret and all of these different books were showing up on my path. And I realized it's a no. I didn't know why. And then along those same timelines, my mom was going through chronic illness and autoimmune conditions. And I was like, there's another way to heal. And I just knew it. I couldn't explain it, but I felt it. And so I was on the path to just pursue the conventional medical degree, and then said no. I was looking at naturopathic medical school, osteopathic medical school, and even the naturopathic medical doctors that I was meeting. One in particular was the president of the board here in New Mexico, told me to put a pause on that and just encouraged me to reflect. And in doing so, I pioneered my own path, which I call my personalized PhD, which has been the last 7.5 years of healing naturally, healing my own symptoms and conditions naturally, helping my mom heal, saving her life, helping her reverse her condition, and delving into research and literature and my own embodied experience with breathwork and yoga and EFT and NLP and human design. And so that's what culminated into embodied wellness.
Now, okay, so let's start with, let me see if there's anything I wanted to ask with that. Yeah, I do. So with that, when you say healing naturally through breath work and yoga, I'm assuming Ayurveda, we talked a little bit about Ayurveda,
yes,
right?
Yes.
What is that the kind of, and when you say helped heal your mom, do you want to share? I mean, you don't have to, what her autoimmune was and what your approach to that was?
Absolutely. So I pursued a lot of different rabbit holes in a lot of different literature, but it really started with the foundation of food. I studied and became an integrative nutrition health coach. So I was really focusing on the physical foundation in embodied wellness, which was the first, and then looking at the lifestyle, food, hydration, cleansing the body. My mom was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus,
So
with
lupus as well.
Renault, yeah, and different neurological symptoms, scleroderma. And so what we have to understand is the body's always striving for balance. It isn't
Hmm.
actually attacking itself, but they've
Right.
termed it autoimmune, the body attacking itself. But it's actually attacking a foreign substance, a pathogen, something that it does not recognize as itself. And
Hmm.
then these symptoms flare. And so with this approach, we're looking at the root and not just labeling it and suppressing and masking symptoms. So she was in the hospital and they overdrew her blood and she almost died. And when you're drawing blood, they often take too much and you have to be really careful, especially as women. Our immune system, so much of it is in the blood. And especially when you're dealing with chronic illness and autoimmune conditions, that makes a huge difference. And so bringing her back by building her blood, cleansing her body, cleansing has been such a huge part of her healing because we are exposed to so many toxins, chemicals, synthetic, artificial substances that compromise our health and increase our toxic load, and toxic heavy metals feed these pathogens, these viruses that are leading to these chronic illnesses, autoimmune conditions, infertility, all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Food is the first medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, in yoga, I know that if the body isn't at ease, it's in dis-ease. It's imbalanced. So, and the goal of Ayurveda is balance. So, and so then that started your launch and your practice. How did human design come that?
Yes, I love that. So before I transition, I love how you're saying it's like ease or dis-ease. And it's like
Yeah.
we're always coding our body for something, whether that's survival and stress or radiance and healing.
Mm.
So what are we going to be coding our body for? These symptoms are just symptoms that are signals. They're not normal, but because so many people are experiencing them and they're so common, they've become normalized. They're not. So you, becoming your own wellness architect, learn to decode your symptoms and recode your body for radiance.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I was actually going to ask, I was like, oh, that's a good topic. Thank you for not sliding by that. But the coding your body specifically, I wanted to just hover on that for a hot sec because I'm finding like, especially with my own little journey right now, where my body's reorganizing itself and the world around us is kind of reorganizing physically, energetically, you know, mentally. And so there are a lot of things that are subconsciously being coded into our bodies without sometimes awareness. And a lot of that disrupts the nervous system to the point where the nervous system no longer knows its home. It's stasis. Its stasis is not at the regular balance. Now it's kind of like off to the right. It's not.
Totally.
So the balance isn't really balance. It's like, it's just the closest thing it can get to balance. So is that what you mean by when you say coding, that kind of like how you're training the body to body, mind, spirit combination?
Yes. And also there are certain foods that can code our body for survival. The health hindering foods is what I call them. And then there are certain foods that code our body for creation, for radiance and repair. And those are the health promoting foods. And so it's that, and also the impact of the mind and the thoughts, because 70% of our body is comprised of water, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen how water responds to different frequencies and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And it responds to our thoughts.
Absolutely. When you have the health promoting and the health not promoting, I can't remember what you just said, the word you just used.
Health hindering?
Yes, hindering. That's better. See, you got the language, girl. Your language is like spot on.
Well, that's something we can dive into more too.
Yeah, you're very good with the language, and we can totally dive into that. But according to Arv, right, as far as I'm aware, in my experience with it, is that the food itself has properties, but the properties change based on the way the food is prepared. So the food itself it's like the idea is like there is no good or bad, there just is, and what there is information.
Mm-hmm.
The information is either going to add balance or take away balance. So it's either going to add to the Like balance. I always talk about like with people when we talk about balance, either in a yoga class or just in life, and you talk about in general energetically. If you think about balance, is it static or is it kinetic? And most people kind of look at it and they think, well, static, it's balanced, I'm right moving. But the thing is balance is consistently moving. Like if you've ever stood on a paddle board or stood on a board on a roll or whatever, you're constantly making micro movements, either to adjust in opposite, one way or another. So the adjustment isn't like go left isn't bad, go right isn't bad. It's that left and right are determined on where the balance lies. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And it does. It's always finding that balance and recalibrating as you go. And your body's always striving for balance. And there are ways to enhance our body's balance through the food, through lifestyle, right? And so with Ayurveda, there is a lot of wisdom there. And there is some wisdom that I found did not support my own journey. And so there are things where it's like, take what resonates, but there are things where there are misunderstandings with certain foods. Like Ayurveda doesn't really love raw foods,
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's not entirely true. I think it depends on the dosha or the imbalance.
Yes.
Primarily, more soft vegetable, highly spiced is better for the digestive system process.
Right.
But like if you're very heavy and you want lighter foods, it depends on where the balance is, I think.
Where the balance is, yes.
But like Ayurveda is not a fan of like smoothies or juices because it doesn't give the body the chance to properly digest and work its juices and function the way it's supposed to. But I have found, in someone who loves Ayurveda, I love a good juice cleanse. I'm down with a juice cleanse, if I can work it into the lifestyle with the kids. I used to do them all the time. So it's, again, like what you said, I think it's more, what I'm hearing us both say in a way is that it's about being a scientist to your well-being, to your balance, like treating yourself like a science experiment. Did this work? Did this not work? If this worked, put it in this category, continue to do it until it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you know what I mean? Like consistently monitoring in a detached way, just trying to get the information.
Totally. And I will say sometimes what we think is not working might actually be working. When you're starting to cleanse your body, there are cleanse reactions that happen. Yes. And so some people I've spoken to who are very into Ayurveda, or they say, what they're following traditional Chinese medicine, they say they can't eat leafy greens. They have to have them cooked, if at all. Leafy greens are some of the most alkalizing foods, and they have a very cleansing effect on the body and the intestinal tract. So when they're going through the intestines, they're scouring the walls of the intestines. And if you have a lot of putrefied protein and rancid fat and oil in your gut that's lodged in the walls of your intestines, those leafy greens are going to scour the walls. So it's not going to feel good. It's going to have this intestinal discomfort kind of effect. And people interpret that and say, oh, it's leafy greens, they make me feel bad, when actually they're helping to heal.
Is it, you're talking about like if they feel like makes them gassy or uncomfortable?
If it's like an expectorant and it's releasing the gas, causing that gas to be released, yes. Or it's just like maybe this discomfort, that's this feeling in their intestines and their tummy ache kind of feeling where it's like, ooh, this. So there are cleansing reactions because these.
Well, then here, let's roll with this question. How do you know it's a cleansing reaction versus an ill reaction?
Right. So I think it depends on the food. I mean, if you're eating, for me, what didn't feel good with Ayurveda is that they said no to juices and smoothies. And I juice daily and I have smoothies daily because with the high voltage or with the, high centrifugal rate of the blender, it's cutting those cell walls up. It's breaking those cell walls down so that the nutrients are released and then maximizing absorption in your body. So cleansing foods are fruits and vegetables, leafy greens. And so I've actually found embracing more of that lifestyle. And I say cleansing isn't just a trend or a one-time thing. It's like, it's a lifestyle. So how do we incorporate it more into our lifestyle? And I have found that has been what's key for me because the juices give you those nutrients in a highly concentrated form without the fiber. Sometimes you want the fiber and that's why you do a smoothie, but there are specific fruits, vegetables, herbs to juice to maximize their medicinal properties, to maximize absorption into the cells. And so I have found that that works really well for me. And so for people who are eating fruits and vegetables and leafy greens who are eating these foods and they're like, oh, I'm not feeling good. Like apples give me this intestinal discomfort or this tummy ache, because I've heard that a lot. People say they can't eat apples. Well, apples are one of the most cleansing fruits as well. And so
Are those people constipated?
some can be very constipated.
Because apples can amplify constipation.
No, they actually promote elimination. They have the pectin, but all these other living water nutrients that cleanse the liver. And you want to focus on cleansing the gut. And the liver and the digestive health are intricately connected.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Okay. So let's pull human design in now.
Yeah, let's go.
So how did you get interested in that?
So that came about. I had always known about astrology. And then I was listening to one of my mentors and I heard about human design through a podcast and I was intrigued. And so I went and I pulled my chart, I inputted my details and I was like, this is fascinating. I felt so seen. I felt so validated. I was like, what is this? I am so curious, but I also felt like an ocean that was so unknown and so overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
And so I just started dipping my toes in. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And so it's been an evolution over the last probably 6 years of deepening in my own understanding of my design, but then other people's design and reading books and going through different programs and experiences centered on human design. And I found that it's changed my life, my relationship to myself, how I live, how I create, and how I relate to others, because knowing another person's human design also helps me to communicate with them in a more efficient way. It's helped ease relationships and deepen connection with people. So it's been fascinating. And it was just an organic process of finding human design, or it found me.
So do you use human design with your clients when you're
Always.
working with them?
Always.
Does it give you insight into, what does it give it an insight to other than communication, like you mentioned?
It gives me insight into how they're designed to make decisions, into how they're designed to work and designing their lifestyle and listening to their intuition. What is a yes? What is a no? Creating more alignment, creating more health, creating more wellness, creating more wealth.
Let's get into that for a second, because for the intuition part, sorry, because I have I don't know if I can pull my chart up for a second, but I was going to say, we had talked earlier about my chart, and there was a couple of things, like the only thing that was open was the one kind of off to the side and the head on me, the crown. And so there was only, the head was the only one that was, because what are the intuition centers again?
Well, I mean, the G center can be a very strong one because it's a sense of knowing who you are and knowing your direction in life and where you're going.
Yeah.
Your spleen is a huge intuition center. So you get these splenic hits, these intuitive hits, and the sacral is huge as well.
Well, sacral, I know, is like filled in.
Yeah.
You remember that? Because
yes.
One was open that's off to the side, kind of.
You're a manifesting generator.
Just a generator.
Oh, you're just a generator.
I'm really bummed about that too.
You're a 6-2 generator. It doesn't matter. You've still got all the characteristics. But you're a pure sacral. So the center that was not defined was the emotional, the solar plexus. So you're
that had stuff in it. Everything had stuff in it except for the crown. And then the one off to the side.
On the spleen on the other side, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, there's like, it looks like it's going along and then it's just like one off to the side.
Yes. And if you're looking at it, it's on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's your spleen. Sorry. We were speaking differently. We were speaking as if it were.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So how would you interpret that in an intuitive space?
Yeah. I mean, the crown is connected to the divine and all this wisdom coming through. So you're open there, but there's also your ajna, which is your third eye, which is also another intuitive center. And I always say it's your body is the technology. Your body is this divine channel for the wisdom to flow through you. And when you're sound in your mind and your body, this wisdom is just like this constant streaming through.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's true.
so for us, it's about aligning the physical body and optimizing our physical health and our wellness to then really step into our power and potential. So for you, it's like lean on your defined G center, that sense of I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and anything that is not in alignment, let that go. Because so much of coming into alignment and listening to our intuition, it's not about doing more, it's about less and letting go of what is not aligned.
Right. Right. And so what's the difference between a defined and an undefined center?
So the centers simply convey how we receive and transmit energy, right? And so when we have a defined center, we're more consistent in that energy and in that characteristic and those qualities. Whereas an undefined center is consistently inconsistent. You're more open to the cultural conditioning, the narratives, others' energy. And so you don't just pick up what they are experiencing and feeling, but you amplify it. So having that undefined crown is the crown and the root at the very base of your centers is your root, and yours is defined. But those are the two pressure centers. So when we have the open or undefined crown, we can feel like all this pressure of insight and wisdom and ideas coming through. Well, knowing what to act on, what to go with, it really comes down to your body wisdom and intuitive insight of asking your sacral. Does this feel in alignment? Is this in alignment? And you can really see if there's a connection between your sacral and your G center to really speak from that knowing of I know who I am, like making decisions using the G center for that guidance of you already have that vision so clear. Now consult your sacral. Does this align? Is this in alignment? Does this bring me closer to that vision?
Yeah.
And amplifying your intuitive insight with that.
I like that. What the hell is the G center?
What about the G center?
What is the G center?
The G center is right here in the center of the chest.
So it's like your Mani chakra?
That would be, it's like the heart, but in human design, the heart is off to the side and it's right here in the center. It's like right at your heart. And the heart, the G center rather, is all about your direction, sense of self, knowing who you are, where you're going, your purpose, your vision.
I like it. I like it because I've heard I've had I've explored a little bit about human design, like I shared with you, and I have friends who are very passionate about it. And I find it intriguing, but I found it was making me too cerebral, and which I guess anything when you're learning it does out the gate. Like even like astrology can seem too cerebral and, structured until you understand the language, So we're very good at communicating that language. So it can tell you where your intuitive centers are. Can it tell you about your communication style? But did you say something about your health? Like,
like there is the personal health system in human design, but really it's like it'll tell you your environment, your arrow of digestion. It reveals to you your personality. What I find really fascinating is using it to create and curate a lifestyle that aligns with your vision for your life and for yourself and your health. So when you start to come into alignment and you listen to your authority, which is how you're designed to make decisions, and you begin to honor your strategy, which your strategy in human design is all about how you make things happen in life. And many people are out of alignment with their authority and out of alignment with their strategy. So we're pushing and we're overdoing it and we're depleting the adrenals and causing all this excess stress, coding the body for stress instead of coding the body for radiance. And so as you know your human design, you know what a yes feels like, you know what a no feels like, you know how to make decisions that are in alignment with you, you know what your signature theme of alignment is. So when you feel, for you, it would be frustration, the signature theme of misalignment, and the signature theme of alignment being satisfaction. And when you start to cue in on what makes you feel so satisfied because you're a generator and you're designed to go and pursue more, and that which lights you up produces more fuel, more motivation, more inspiration, and you just want to go down the rabbit hole. And generators are here for mastery. They're here to dive deep and focus. And we have this intense aura sometimes where it's like we get so focused on one thing and we get obsessed. And then it's like everything is blocked out.
That's true. That is true. Well, how do you find your strategy?
So your strategy is just based on your energy type. So for you and for generators and manifesting generators, it is to respond. that can be to thoughts, to feelings, to emotions, to ideas, to invitations, to people's conversations. So if you're responding to thoughts that are not making you feel empowered and connected, you're spiraling down into that vortex of frustration. And
Yeah.
then that generates more frustration, because when you focus on a feeling and you focus on a thought that generates a feeling that is not satisfying, you create more of that which you don't desire. So when you notice yourself spiraling, it's like, okay, what can I do to bring myself out of that frustration? What can I do to create more satisfaction?
No, it's interesting is that recently I have been trying a new strategy consciously / subconsciously with someone who I have frustration with, you know, and frustration with communication styles specifically. And my new strategy has been to just not respond. And I gotta say, it's feeling fabulous. I mean, it doesn't feel fabulous to, have someone not communicate in a style that you prefer, but it's a hell of a lot better than losing your peace, I feel like
Yes,
it's a life lesson for everyone.
absolutely.
What was I going to say? Okay, so let's talk about this then. Does human design bleed into, like, say, perimenopause or the female health cycle?
So that is really interesting. And I feel like we need to talk about going back to the health piece, because
Yeah.
the reason I'm focusing on the preconception era is because I saw my mom experience very traumatic miscarriages, pregnancy, stillbirth, and she almost lost me at 4.5 months. And for me, becoming a mother has been one of my greatest dreams and desires, but I've also noticed that it's one of my greatest fears, just because of all the collective narratives around
Yeah.
pregnancy, and it's symptomatic and it's dangerous, or it's really uncomfortable and it's miserable, but it's worth the pain. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It's all
why
those
is it that we have so many narratives around pregnancy? Like, none of the symptoms that we're experiencing are normal. They're so common. At least every individual is experiencing one symptom, but symptoms are simply codes from the body that we
things.
learn to decode. And so it put me on this quest where I lost my period for 3 years. I was experiencing severe adrenal fatigue. I lost my libido, lost my ovulation cycle. And so I, at the peak of my health crisis, was feeling so broken, like there was something wrong with me. And someone was like, "You're so healthy. You're the picture of health," and asking me about grandchildren, like if I was going to have children so that my parents could be grandparents. And I didn't even know if that was possible. And I felt heartbroken. And I was like, I don't know how to heal naturally, but I know there's a way, and I'm going to find that. And so I
Yeah.
created the evidence that I didn't have. And in doing so, I became so aware of all these other things like infertility and perimenopause and menopause and all these other symptoms that are not normal. And so I started focusing in on the preconception era so that I can support myself in creating radiant health, which is the foundation for a radiant pregnancy and a foundation for later in life, post pregnancy, the future of my child, the future of my body, because perimenopause and menopause symptoms are simply symptoms. They're not normal. And you can recode your body for radiance, the hot flashes, the weight gain, the libido, the adrenal fatigue, all those symptoms be reversed. And I've helped so many other women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s reverse these hormonal imbalances and issues that they have lived with and learned to manage for so long, because we were told it's just the way and there's no way to heal.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. Yeah. There's so much coming out now about women's health not being explored, not being understood, not even being cared enough about to look at, and that it is marginally different from men's health. So that is very intriguing to me, because and I even my own doctors and, going to them and being like, and I look at my chart and I realize I'm like, the more I know about, I didn't even know what perimenopause was because I had my children late and I kind of went, my second child kind of into, postpartum into peri, you know, and I don't really know that was happening. And I was like, God, what is going on? Everything I was doing before no longer is working. Like it's just not working. And it's like, somebody took my body in the middle of the night, changed the rule book, didn't leave the rule book. And just like, I was like left trying to figure this out on my own. And the doctors have always been like, well, it's just this. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not an excuse. Sorry. You can't just say
No,
it's just perimenopause. You're going to have to live with it. I'm like, screw you. No way. You know?
no, no.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. And
So,
it's by design. They tell us that by design. You look at the medical system and the history of the medical system, it's very patriarchal. Whenever a woman was dealing with something real, oh, it's in your head. You'll get over it. Oh, take a pill. Oh, get on birth control. Oh, you're hysterical. Let's do a hysterectomy. That's the issue. Women, our bodies are the source of our power. All humans, like our bodies are the source of our power. And when we are dealing with symptoms, we sense this disconnect that's happening in our body. And instead of connecting to the body and the body wisdom, we often go into the mind and try to figure it out and go to the doctors and go to all these different practitioners and who's going to help me heal and how do I heal? And then we get sent down a rabbit hole. And I've seen people go to 30, 40 different specialists and get worse because they're told so much that conflicts. And it's all this misleading information. And what heals is truth. And we need truth. Like our bodies are the source of our power. Our bodies, our health has been under attack because there aren't answers that we need in the mainstream. Like I've found answers that are misleading. And actually what's ironic is the very things they tell us to avoid are the actual things that our body needs to heal. And the very things they tell us to do to heal can actually create more symptoms and prevent our healing.
so what are some specifics in those that, that are said to not do that could heal and vice versa to do that could harm?
Yeah. So I know for me, I was told to do high fat, high protein diet to promote fertility and healthy cycle and healthy hormones. That actually made me a lot worse.
Yeah.
Weight gain, inflammation, digestive health issues, skin health issues flared. My libido still didn't come back. My adrenal fatigue was worse than ever. Still no cycle. All of these different things. And I was like, why are they telling me to eat all this protein and high fat? Well, it's good for your uterus. It's good for your ovaries. Da 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 da. Well, come to find some of those, like those animal-based products, protein can actually create hormonal imbalance for several reasons.
Because a lot of them have hormones in them. Yes.
That and they're adrenalized foods. So some of the health hindering foods are those that create more adrenaline because anytime we're eating something that has adrenaline, like animal meat, it's going to stir an adrenaline spike in our body. And that adrenaline is the stress hormone that says, okay, code your body for stress and survival, not creation, not healing. You're in fight flight mode. But also when we eat a high fat diet, we're eating foods that are thickening our blood, and the body, in order to compensate, is so intelligent in its design and releases adrenaline from the adrenals to thin the blood. There's another adrenaline reaction. And the liver, in order to compensate and protect the rest of the organs in the body, soaks up that adrenaline to protect the body. And the liver is vital. It is the most overlooked and undervalued organ. It has everything to do with our hair, skin, and nails, weight, aging with grace, digestive health, heart health, lymphatic system health. Everything stems from the liver. So when we start to cleanse our body and we cleanse the liver, things come back into balance. Similarly, I was told to avoid fruit and be careful with certain high glycemic index fruits. But fruit is the most cleansing food that exists. Food group really that exists in the world. So why are we told to avoid fruit? For every patient cured, a profit is lost. And this is what I became so aware of on my path to become a medical doctor, is that so many other doctors that were mentoring me were like, I just feel like a medication manager. I don't have the time with my patients. I don't get to speak with them about the deeper underlying narratives and emotions. And one of my mentors wrote a book and called the healthcare system a disease care system. And that stuck out to me.
That's true. It's very true.
And so now we're in this revolution of personal power, and people are becoming aware of what has been told to us, the misleading information that has led us astray, that has led us to disconnect from our body, disconnect from our power. Because when we're connected to our bodies, we're connected to our power. When we rise in our power, we are unstoppable. We activate our true purpose, our true potential. And that turns the current system and powers that be on their head.
Yeah. I remember reading years ago, like, natural medicine has always been kind of a geek out subject of mine since my, early 20s, before my 20s, late teens. And one of the things I remember reading back then, this is a while ago, was that in ancient China, the king would pay or emperor, whatever, would pay the doctor, the health person, whatever he was called, the doctor guy, every month, a certain amount of money. And if he got sick, he stopped paying him until he got well again. And I remember thinking like, well, that's how it should be. Like we're paying people to stay sick, not to get better. If your health is in someone else's hands, wouldn't you want to pay them to stay healthy instead of to pay them when you're sick? And I thought that was really interesting.
It's brilliant. And that's what I have found too, is I choose and I hire mentors who exude and embody that which I desire, whether it's radiant health, the business, whatever it is. I'm like that person. So if I'm going to my doctor and they're not an embodied, living, breathing example of radiant health, what am I learning from it? They're telling me to do the very things that they themselves are not doing, or they're telling me to do something that is actually health hindering rather than health promoting. And it's not their fault. This is the design of the system.
Right.
And we start to give our power away at a very young age and trust others external to us rather than the wisdom of our own body and the truth within, rather than, we just give it all away and think that they know best. And this is my body and these are symptoms. And I just this is what I'll have to learn to live with. And I have to suffer and struggle. And so many women, especially women, because our immune system, when we're menstruating, is lowered by 80%. And then when we're ovulating, it's lowered by 40%. And during pregnancy, it's lowered by 50%. And something so interesting is that when you're giving birth, you release more adrenaline in one birth than one woman in her whole life if she's never had a baby. And so that adrenaline really has that effect. And so it takes a toll on the body and the strength of the body. So when you're dealing with perimenopause and menopause, you want to focus on your adrenal health. The adrenals are so overlooked as well. Bring those into balance. And there are certain foods and supplements and herbs to really support the balance of the body.
So what would you say to someone like moi, who is going through perimenopause? And the thing I've also noticed that is that it's not one size fits all. I have a lot of friends at different stages of perimenopause, menopause, and they all experience different symptoms. They all have different, it manifests differently, just like everyone's cycle is different. So what are do you have like a few things that you would recommend, or like, you know what I mean? Go-to strategies for finding that alignment in the chaos of change?
Absolutely. So what I would say is that chaos precedes creation. So we can harness that chaotic energy and create radiance, right? So, and there's an intelligent design behind the words that I use. I've been studying with a mentor and we speak a lot about the coding and the frequency of words, because every time we speak, it's like abracadabra. As I speak, I spell, and we're unlocking frequencies and realities in the quantum field as we speak. So there are words that create and promote success and health and wealth and feeling good. And how do we speak about ourselves? How do we speak about our body? Right? So that's the first step. But then knowing your body blueprint, you have a unique body blueprint, which is influenced by your history, your environment, your toxic load, pathogenic load, etc. So that's going to then lead to a different presentation of symptoms. But there are so many things that you can begin doing, like raspberry leaf tea. That's going to help harmonize your body and your hormones and balance them naturally. I've had so many women who either tried synthetic hormones or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and they were able to come off of them because we balanced the body naturally. And they felt better without those synthetic hormone replacements.
I swear by red raspberry leaf tea. I swear by it. I tell everyone who's pregnant to do it in their last trimester.
Yes.
And then I found that I have always had bad cramps with my menstrual cycle. And I swear by it then. I started taking it after I had my kids for that. And it's like, it's a wonder drug.
It's amazing. It's an herb. And if you want to amplify its effect, combine it with a nettle leaf, which is an adaptogenic herb that has high silica content. That's amazing for hair, skin, and nails. Antiviral, amazing to rejuvenate the adrenals. Red clover is another one that helps to flush the lymphatic system. and purify the body. So it's releasing phytoestrogens and all these different estrogens and chemicals from the body.
Yep.
There are so many supplements. Zinc sulfate would be an amazing one. A lot of times it's a zinc deficiency that creates symptom arising because zinc is so foundational for immune strength and support. I also love, oh my gosh, licorice root. Licorice root is a huge one because it is one of the fastest ways to rejuvenate your adrenals. And your
It's great
adrenals,
for digestion as well, and also throat.
Yes. And it's adaptogenic and it's antiviral and it brings back the adrenals online very quickly. So you'll want to do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
That's good to know. Okay. So, and then how did your body blueprint, where are you getting that from? Where did we find that out?
So that's one of my signature sessions is a body blueprint breakthrough session.
Okay.
It's this wellness intake form based on your history, based on past illness, based on past pregnancies, symptoms. And it's like, okay, what are the symptoms you're experiencing?
Yeah.
And then we look at all of this and see, okay, well, it looks like you're like high toxic load. There's pathogenic activity. There's toxic heavy metals in the environment that we're exposed to on a daily basis, even if we're not aware or even if we are aware. And so controlling our own environment, our personal care products, those can have a lot of endocrine disruptors.
Sure.
If we're not hydrating, how we're nourishing our food, our environments, our stress levels, all of that impacts our body blueprint. And so just like you're building a home, you begin with the blueprint, right? And then
the architect comes into play.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So wellness architecture and lifestyle design truly is an art. It's an alchemy. It's a science. It's a journey of becoming the healthiest, most radiant embodied version of yourself. And so we have your body blueprint, and that sets the foundation for radiant health. And as you begin to come into balance with your body and reconnect to your body, your power unlocks on a whole new level. You stand differently, you sit differently, you speak differently, you feel differently about yourself, you see the world differently. And you then begin to design your life in a way that aligns with this new vision that you hold. Or maybe it's a vision within you that you've always held. The embodied woman is within you. She's a frequency that already exists within you. It's not about getting there or doing more to get to be her. It's activating from within.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen, sister.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So, Ana, how do people find you? How can they work with you?
Yes. So find me on Instagram. My handle is I am, like the mantra, I am Ana Fink. And you can also go to my website, anafink.com. If you would like to book a speak with me call, that is a free 30-minute discovery call to really hone in on your unique body, your unique story, your symptoms. I know for me, when I was going through my health crisis, I just wanted to speak with someone about what I was going through and to speak with a wellness architect that didn't yet exist, but, influenced and inspired me to create what I've created because I wanted someone who knew the body, who also was aware and passionate about the spiritual element of wellness and the mindset, the personal growth aspect. Book a call with me and we can see if we're a good fit and I can offer you different guidance. And I do one-on-one curated experiences. So they're really tailored to your unique body blueprint, your human design, your vision. It's all this intentionally curated experience to build and architect that radiant health and become who you're here to be.
I love it. I love it. And I'll put all your information in the show notes and everything. Thank you so much, Ana, for coming on.
My pleasure.
This was fun. I learned a lot. I'm like I took notes.
Yeah.
Actually, I appreciate too that the way you speak about human design was illuminating for me because I haven't, I was always curious about it. I felt boxed in by it, but the way you spoke about it opened that up for me. So I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so happy to because truly human design was never intended to limit us, rather expand us. Human design is the science of differentiation. We are not here to conform to the conventional standards and norms. We are here to pave an unconventional way, and we are the ones to walk our path. We are the ones to architect our health. We are the ones to architect our wealth. And so we are the one. We are the foundation. We are the art. We are the alchemy, the artist, the architect, the architecture. It's us. So human design really is an embodied experience. I don't want you to just know it. I want you to go from understanding and knowing it to embodying it, to living it, because that's when it changes your life. You can learn all this information at a cognitive level, but then you're just in that disembodied, disconnected state. But
Yeah.
as you begin to embody it, that's the transformation.
Well, that's pretty much anything, isn't it, too? Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. And something I know you mentioned in the beginning, we were going to delve into crypto. I'm just
Oh
going
my
to
God,
share
we didn't even talk
one.
about crypto.
No. Do I have a few
Yes,
minutes
let's
to?
talk about it. Quick. Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
So I have always felt the pull to crypto. I felt it 5.5 years ago,
Yeah.
and I didn't listen to that intuition to invest in the mentor and to invest in crypto at that time. So last year I felt the ping very strongly again, and I found a mentor. In fact, I found 3 plus. So I've been in 3 masterminds with these mentors, and cryptocurrency is not conspiracy. It truly is divine prophecy. So when we're speaking it in a very embodied and spiritual way, it's here to liberate humanity from the slavery debt-based system. So cryptocurrency has been portrayed as volatile, a scam, it's risky, it's complicated, it's hard, and all of these things. And it can feel really intense. And especially based on what we've known, and especially on the financial system, it's been more dominated by male individuals, male role models and figures leading the way. And so for me, I feel like it's very
Crypto? Sorry.
finance.
Crypto's led by males, too, isn't it?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
A
Okay.
lot of, majority of the individuals are
That's good.
male.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it felt like this field that was kind of obscure and hard to understand. And it's by design, like what's going on here. And so when I felt into crypto, it was a ping. It was an intuition that I felt in my body that I was like, something big is happening. We are, if you look at it from the Kali Yuga, Iron Age, now the Satya Yuga, the Golden Age, we are in such a period of transformation and revolution.
There's two other ages in between Kali and Satya. There's Tretya and Dwarpa as well.
Right. Right. But moving from the Iron Age.
Moving from the dark to the light.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
Into the light.
golden age is Satya.
Exactly. Yes. So moving into the light, we're seeing the dissolution of what was.
Yes.
The systems, global, political, financial, all those that serve the powers that be, the powers that were, that didn't serve humanity. Cryptocurrency is not just speculation. It's the foundation for the new financial system. And that foundation is set. We already have the infrastructure that's been set. Now we're in this period of regulation. And with that regulation comes more clarity and stability in the prices. So yes, you have these things that were happening that it feels so volatile. It feels risky. But again, there's risk with anything, right? And for me, it feels riskier not to invest in crypto than to invest, because we are at such a juncture in our period of history where it's the greatest wealth transfer of our time. And it's not just a financial evolution, it's a revolution. What's transforming right now is going to empower us to position ourselves accordingly to create sovereign generational wealth, to fund our visions, our missions, our visions for this world and for what's coming, to create in a new way.
Well, explain to me then, just give me like the elevator pitch of how crypto does that in a different way.
And how it does it. So how it does what exactly?
How it does that, creating generational wealth versus what we have now.
Right. So there are things that are going to be kind of similar to what we've experienced, but as they're easing into the new system, they need to make it more of that smooth transition. But to create the generational wealth in a way that we haven't seen, I mean, you saw it earlier with Bitcoin. It made a lot of millionaires. But now this is about positioning yourself before retail adoption, because right now prices are lower on these utility-based coins. And so when you invest in the infrastructure and you're not just a retail user of something like Square, you know, those payment systems like Square and different things, these technologies, when you invest early, the ROI is huge. So then you, as that investor, receive that ROI, and then you set yourself up to create wealth, but then you create generational wealth because of the way you structure it, because of the way you invest.
The only thing I'm wondering though, is how is that different than like getting in on oil early or getting into the stock market before it started? And both of those things created generational wealth for very small amounts of people. So how is
Right.
it different?
So for these coins, like oil is very different. That's extrapolating the earth, right? That's extrapolating these resources from the earth in a way that is not very conscious at all. That is not very harmonious.
Mm-hmm.
But these technologies, they have a frequency of their own. There are like 21,000 cryptocurrencies, but of those, maybe 1% will survive regulation because we're really moving out of the speculative market and into utility-based markets.
Okay.
And utility is what drives the price stability
Mm-hmm.
and is what is going to be used, the infrastructure. So it's not like oil. It's not like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is very energy intensive. One Bitcoin transaction can give power to a home for a week. You know, they're not very efficient, the Bitcoin transactions. They're not green. And so with these newer technologies, XRP, XLM, these different utility-based coins, those are green, they're fast, they're effective, they're solving real world problems. So there's a real use case, and it's putting the power back in the hands of the people because they are deflationary assets, meaning they increase in value over time because there's a fixed supply. You can't print it infinitely like you can money, paper money.
Mm-hmm.
In the fiat system, that dollar has depreciated in value 99% over the last 100 years.
So who would you say to invest in?
XRP.
XRP is your go-to?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a technology. It's solving a huge problem within our payment system. Slow cross-border payments with SWIFT that take days or weeks to settle, that are costly, that go through these Vostro Nostro accounts, these intermediary institutions, instead of directly to the recipient from the sender. And they're fast. It's the internet of value. It's the bridge between currencies. So it's like the analogy I like to use is like when people were, driving a horse and buggy and they were like, hey, do you want a car? Well, it wouldn't have made sense because there were no roads, right? Well, once the roads were created and paved, they're like, oh, great, we have smoother terrain to drive on. But then they see a car driving and that car goes fast. And so now they're like, hey, what about that car? Well, the XRP ledger and what Ripple, the company, has created, RippleNet, and all the banks and institutions that they have partnered with, Deloitte, Santander, all of these big banks, they are the highway. That's the plumbing for the financial system. And so XRP is the car that drives on the highway.
All right. I will look into it. I do know that a lot of astrologers have spoken to this point of, I think it has to do with where Uranus is positioned or transiting, that the disruption of the financial system is happening. And so a lot of them are pointing to cryptocurrencies. And I have been hesitant to look into it because it sounds like the car when you have a horse and buggy, Although I personally don't think that we are in a space as humanity yet that is as elevated as the currency in which you speak.
Right.
I'm happy to look into it, but humanity still has a lot of lessons to learn, unfortunately, it feels like, about power, greed, and hoarding resources.
I totally understand. And I hear that. And that's why I'm like, okay, when we have the power, when we have the money, we can then use that. With that great power comes great responsibility and also great impact. So then we can influence the new systems, new creations. And the window of opportunity has never been better. The reward has never been lower. And the risk has never been lower. You're like, what are you saying? You're opposite. No, risk has never been lower and the reward has never been higher. Yeah. So right now there's so much momentum and we're seeing more clarity come through. And this isn't just going to go away. Crypto's here to stay. The crypto future is here. They're seeing
it's not
PayPal.
going away. It doesn't seem to be going away. I mean,
No,
it's like the butt of a joke, but it's not going away.
it's not. It's not. But here's the thing, talking about frequency, XRP holds the frequency of Christ consciousness.
Okay.
Feel into that. Like, because
Okay.
for me, Bitcoin has been exploited, like it's been exploitation.
Well, here, hold on a second. I need to slow your roll on this a little bit. Hold up. Because Christ consciousness in this day and age doesn't carry a lot of weight because it's been tossed around like, like a bad hooker, not to be, gross about it. But
Mm,
consciousness has been labeled on a lot of things that I would not align with the frequency of Christ consciousness. And
okay.
what that means to one may not mean the same to another.
Hmm.
The value of those alchemical words is not consistent across boundaries. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
But I'm happy to look into it and to feel into the energy of the company and what this is. And you've got me curious enough that I'm going to sit down and meditate on it.
Yeah. Meditate on it.
But that's also that's a beautiful, but to everything we've been speaking about today, having the process of, I'm not sure, but I'm going to look at it in an intuitive space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to meditate on the energy in the root of what this is to see if I'm experiencing a symptom or an illusion or, a story. Like, what is it that it really is at its root? And I'm open to looking at that. And for the first time, because it's been on the back of my mind a lot, I was very much into solar energy when it first started coming out. And I told my husband to invest in Solar City. We lived in California. And Solar City, and the specific reason I said Solar City, I got like something at a farmer's market. Somebody was handing out something for Solar City. And I didn't even own a home. But I was like, I thought it was interesting. I like the idea of solar panels and just solar energy in general. And then I looked into the company and Elon Musk owned it. And this is before he went batshit. But he owned that. This is before Tesla came out, or maybe it was around, but not as out in the open as it is now. So I suggested to him to invest in it. He did. It ended up, Tesla swallowed up Solar City. And so our stock became Tesla stock. And so that was like, but that was an energetic thing. And I consistently feel into that because he started getting volatile. And so then so did the stock. The stock became volatile because he was volatile. And
Right.
so the energy of the company and the stock were the same. And I'm really kind of been on the fence, like, do we sell? Do we keep? Do we sell? Do we keep? Because of that. But he is forward thinking, which is what I liked about it initially. So what I'm saying is like going back to the making decisions on an energetic space that are forward thinking, forward movement.
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% with you there. And I have not done the homework yet to sit down with crypto. I've just made fun of it. Sorry, I have. But
no, that's fine. Most people do, and everything
now I'm willing to sit down and look at it. Now you've made me curious enough to sit down and just like not make fun of it, just look at it.
Look at it. Yeah, feel into it and know that it's your intuitive know and your knowing, and honor that. And there is
made a ton of money on crypto out the gate, like crazy money, like in like a couple months or something. I don't know what he's doing now, but, I know he's out of it now. I think it was Bitcoin or something. But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, what it comes back to, and this is something I'll also sit with, is it truly about just making money? Or is it about what's better energetically for humanity? And from my understanding about what Bitcoin is, I haven't been convinced that it's a better situation. So, and that is the time that you sit down and you look at it.
Yes. Yeah. And Bitcoin's the original cryptocurrency. BTC is the ticker, beta test coin. So it was the test. It hasn't been updated. And that frequency of Bitcoin, I don't own Bitcoin. I have not invested in any Bitcoin because that frequency to me is,
it's that
heavy. Yes.
It's very awkward. It's very greedy and
Right. No, exactly. And this, like, for me, it's like I'm doing this not just for me, but the world and for the wellness center and this healing center that I have in my mind to create. Right. So we have wealth in the hands of people with hearts for humanity that then have the power to shift the direction and to influence the new era that we're coming into, especially in 2027 with the new paradigm.
Yes. Well, I love your vision for it. So you've made me curious enough to look at it and we appreciate it.
Yes, please. And I'd be happy to share.
Talk.
I know. This is so fun.
Yeah.
So many different tangents, but also everything connects.
Yes.
Because in embodied wellness, it's multidimensional wellness for the multidimensional human. And health and wealth and human design and all of these things all relate. I did do a masterclass if you would like to watch the replay on crypto. It's called Decrypted, Decoding Crypto, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Can you share with me and I'll put it in the show notes as well?
Yes.
Everyone? Decrypted?
Yes, because it's so fascinating. Like so many people, I'm running this mastermind right now, Worthy Wealthy Woman.
Yes.
And I had no intention on sharing about crypto publicly in the way that I am now because it was just a personal journey. And then I was like, I see the power of what it can create for the world.
Yeah.
And I started talking about it and people are like, I don't trust crypto, but I trust Ana and I trust your vision and I borrow in your belief. And I also was speaking about it and they're like, I love how you're weaving the human design and energetics and spirituality and consciousness in crypto. So it's not just the crypto. It's just crypto's like a vehicle for this greater expansion and evolution.
Sure.
And for me, it's like, it's hard to be broke and it's not spiritual to struggle and it's hard to be wealthy. What hard do we want to choose?
Well, it is spiritual to struggle. It's just spiritual to not be in the struggle of the struggle.
Right. Exactly. Like there is the like inner jihad, the inner struggle of like facing those inner.
Yeah. It's the struggle no longer affects you. That's
right.
Spiritual.
Right.
But the struggle in the 3D form continues to exist. And that's part of the lesson. That's part of the journey. That's part of the evolution of wealth and wisdom, you know? Anyway. All right. I love this. Yeah, I'll definitely put that in there. And thank you so much. We'll talk more soon.
Yes. We'll be in touch. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Ditto. Back at you so much. All right. Take care. Bye.